So welcome, you guys, from beautiful Guatemala, right? What's the weather like right now?
Well, it's 70 degrees, just like it was yesterday and just like it'll be tomorrow.
Great.
Pretty much 70s year round.
Even in St. George, which is warmer than most of the people on here, it's a high of 54 today. So
Oh no, that's our low.
I'm sure. I am sure. So I have invited Greg and his wife to come and talk to us specifically about, like, I've kind of changed the topic a little bit because this is what they do, but I wanted to really focus on this one piece, and that is the adventure that the kids go through. And by adventure, I'm just going to define that as out of the box, something new for them to experience and to learn and grow from, that they wouldn't have the opportunity to do just sitting at home doing Saturday chores and doing school every day. So I'm going to go ahead and let the two of you, I'm going to have you guys just introduce yourselves, actually, because we talked about it a little bit in the emails and on Facebook about a little bit about what you've done, but if you want to expound on that a little bit, and then let's really dig into the kids themselves. Okay?
Okay. I'll let Lucy start. How's that?
That would be perfect.
Well, we're Greg and Lucy, like you already mentioned. We have 4 boys and 1 girl. We've been here in Guatemala for 6.5 years. We decided, a little longer than that, we decided that we wanted to try something different. We wanted a new experience for the kids, and so we decided to sell everything and pack up our minivan and drive down here. And expecting just to do a year or so and see how it was going to turn out. And now it's been 6.5 years and we're still here. We love it. The boys all are pretty much fluent in Spanish, so that's makes it, fun as well. We started doing our project, our humanitarian project. We started that about 4 years ago, so we've been doing that for a while. That's not what we originally came down to do, but that just kind of evolved, and we love it, and we love that we're able to work with the people here and also to bring other people from the States or from other places to come in and join what we're doing here, and to have the experiences that we're having here. So we
Awesome.
Really enjoyed that. Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple quick questions, Lucy. So you said the boys are fluent in Spanish. What about the two of you?
That we speak Spanish. Yeah, we both speak Spanish fluently. Yeah.
Awesome. So it's a family thing now, so that's good. And
so now we can't talk secretly to each other in Spanish anymore.
Darn it.
Because the kids know.
It's time to learn a new language.
Yeah.
It's time to start on language number 3, right? It'll start with you guys, and then when you decide that the boys are old enough to get the adult conversation, then they can join in. Sounds great. So Lucy, I want to hear from Greg too, but what was it that you guys originally thought you were going to go down there and do?
We were just planning on, Greg is a runner, and so he was just going to do trail running because there's a lot of mountains here and volcanoes, and that was going to be just kind of for our work. That was what we were going to do, is trail running. And we really just wanted to try something different. We wanted to have a different experience. So we had no idea what we were going to do when we got here. We knew we'd do some service projects here and there because we both been here before as missionaries when we were, younger. And so we knew what we were expecting as far as the poverty and the need for help here. So we knew we were going to be doing something. We just didn't know what. And so we did work with a few organizations when we first got here. And, and then it turned into starting our own. And that's how we, kind of a long story, but we ended up starting our own because we wanted to do something a little different. So.
And that actually, I'm just gonna share a tidbit. So you guys, that's how you met Kent, right? When you were first started, like, kind of working with different organizations. Is that how you guys met him, or was it something else?
No, we just met Kent here. It's just he was on one of his trips down here and we just met him. Yeah, we met him at church actually.
So it was kind of fun that they actually know my uncle who went to Guatemala on his mission years and years ago. And I'm sure he's 7 years older than me, and I know I'm older than you guys. So a little bit of a difference in age there. But that was kind of a fun thing that we had that connection. They knew him and had met him before because he was in that same area. So Greg, tell me, you were going to do trail running and define that a little bit, because I think I have an idea of what that means. But your wife said it's running trails up mountains, but how does that provide income, right?
Yeah. So yeah, this is sort of like going back to what you want to be when you grow up. So there I was at a job I didn't like. I was not very healthy. Things weren't going well. So we decided to come to Guatemala, but I'm thinking, I'm not like a computer programmer. I don't have any location independent income. I don't have a multi-level company. I'm just like, I have to work at a job. That's what I could do. So I thought, how are we going to live in Guatemala? So I literally went back to what they tell you when you're 13 and find what you love to do and then figure out how to make money at it. And the only thing that I thought I could maybe do was I had been running, not so much then, but I had run since I was a kid. And I thought, well, how can I make money running? My competitive days are now behind me. So yeah, I actually started one of the first trail running kind of vacation adventure companies, and the only one in Guatemala. But there were a few of us starting them around the world at the same time, and we've since joined up now and started a company called Run the World Adventures. But yeah, I invited people to come down for an all-week, all-inclusive trip to go running with me on the trails of Guatemala, up the volcanoes and kind of through these like jungle areas. And so it was just this trip that I organized, and they came down and ran with me, and I spent hours and hours and hours learning the trails and getting the deals at the hotel. So anyways, that's how I made money at first with the trail running.
What an adventure in and of itself. I mean, it's an adventure that you guys were willing to pick up and do this. Yes, you'd been there before, you'd spent time there before, but it's huge. And how many people told you were crazy?
Well, here's the thing. When you do something like that, I probably do a weekly call with somebody that's considering selling it all and moving to a different country. Not that you have to do that to be happy, but there's just people that want to do that. And my first piece of advice, if you're going to do that, is don't tell anybody. You can tell them when the wheels are in motion, when the house is up for sale, or maybe you're not selling your house. Maybe you're just going to take a year-long trip. But like right before you go is when you tell people, because otherwise everyone tells you you're crazy. But they don't say you're crazy. What they say is, oh, that'll be quite the adventure. You are completely nuts. I'm sorry, we won't be friends anymore. So everyone either says, wow, that'll be quite the adventure, or they'll say, that is so awesome. I want to hear all about it. That's so cool. Let's stay friends. It's one of those two answers, and it's only one of those two.
Well, and the answer of that'll be quite an adventure, to me, it's a short-term thing. It's that they don't think this is permanent. They think you're going to go out there, you're going to do it for a little while, and then you're going to come back with your tail between your legs.
Yeah.
Right?
I think that's what they expect. And honestly, I mean, seriously, I think a lot of people hope that actually happens, is what we found. We actually lost some friends who we were really good friends with, and I don't think they were jealous and wanted to move to a developing country like Guatemala like we did, but I think we just represented just regular people who did it. We jumped off the cliff, and there was no net, and we didn't know what would happen, and we knew we very well might have to go back with our tail between our legs, and we did that. And so I think we connect with a lot of people who wish they were doing something different, wish they lived somewhere else, wish they had a different job, wish something was different with their family, wish that some major thing was different. And we often get scared of those types of things, and we don't do it. And so we connect with people that, because they see that we did do it, and most people don't ever do it, whatever that thing is. In our case, it was sell everything and drive to Guatemala and figure out how to make it. And then of course the adventure then took its own course. But that's what I've found.
So speaking of adventure, I'm just going to go into my experience a little bit. So I have 6 kids, and their ages 26 to 12. And of those 6, 3 have been out of the country. Well, okay, I'm not counting, when we would go to Mexico for a weekend or something, or Canada. Okay, I'm not counting that. My 2 girls, we took them to Europe for 4 weeks when they were 14 and 16. And then I have a son who went to Haiti just this last year. And then I've got another son who's heading to China in the next couple of weeks to go teach English. And I have tried to facilitate them going and doing this because I feel like it shrinks the world from their experience, that it makes it feel like, oh, this museum in Italy that people talk about that's got my favorite art in it is not impossible to get to. And to see the different cultures and know that this is not, the way you live. I mean, the difference between Haiti, right, and St. George for my 14-year-old, like, wow, that was huge. And of course I took other students and stuff with me too. So it was so fun to watch them and the complaining and what happened with that, like it just disappeared. All this complaining that happened on the way to, before the trip. Wait, you're telling us we can only bring, one little tiny backpack full of stuff. And then they get there and it just washes over them the reality of what they have. So the gratitude is just amazing. And it changes them from these very selfish, they were 14 and 15, they're pretty self-absorbed, these guys, even the best of them, they are, from very selfish teenagers to really having a sense of, I have nothing to complain about. And if I want to eat vegetarian organic food when I'm home, that's great. But I am no longer going to whine and complain when I don't get it, because there are people out there that don't have food, period. And they see it. It becomes real for them. So I feel like for our kids to be able to really accomplish who they can become, to really, really be able to understand that, they have to have these kinds of experiences. And so this is not the first time that you've done this, Greg. I mean, you've seen people, you brought them down as runners first, and those were adults, and that had to have some impact on people, right?
Oh, yeah.
And you weren't even doing service with them, were you? You were just running with them. And what was their reaction to what they saw and experienced while they were there?
Well, blows them away. You have no idea. And it's interesting what you say about traveling and seeing that, because I grew up, and I think a lot of people think this, that I grew up thinking travel, especially international travel, is for rich people. That was just, we didn't do that. That's what those people did. And I think now it's so much more, I don't know. I feel like people have changed, and people now a lot of people are more interested in experiences over things. And so that's one thing that's way cool. But yeah, when people came down, you think you're ready. How do I even say it? You think you know what it's going to be like. You think you know how you're going to feel when you are confronted with poverty and you see it, and you're with these people, and you're in their house, you're in their yard, you're working with them, or in our case, running by them and meeting them and talking to them when we were out on those runs when we first come down. Mm-hmm. But you can never prepare yourself for how that feels. Because even though I lived in Guatemala for 2 years, over 20 years ago, when I moved back now with kids, it was totally different. I was seeing the same things, but with completely different eyes now, because now these are little kids, and I have kids, and I can't even imagine if you were my kid was having to go through what you're going through.
It is a completely different perspective as a parent. We had a little boy it was a 3-hour drive, I think, from the town that we were at back to the airport. And I didn't know what the kids in the bus with us, the little mini bus thing that we were driving around, I didn't know what they were looking at, but their attention was out the back end of the bus for quite a while. And I finally went to investigate, and it was this little guy that had jumped onto the back bumper and was hanging on to a ladder that went up to the top of the bus. And he probably was, I don't know how old he was, but compared to American children, he looked like he was 7, right? And he's hanging onto the back of the bus through this filthy, dirty city, through all these piles of trash that we're driving through and everything. And of course, my mom's heart was just saying, oh my gosh, where's his mother? She must be worried about him. He's been going for miles and miles with us. And then the realization hits that he might not have a mom. And he's just getting from one place to the other however he can. And wow, it strikes at my heart. And then of course we were able to have a conversation with the kids once we got to the airport, and talk to them about, to kind of share that perspective a little bit, because I know they were like, oh, he's so cute, and oh, is he going to be safe, and oh, he's going to, you know, but to talk to him about the perspective, like from a mom, you know, and it was an amazing experience, just that little piece of what we did. And it's really powerful to see these. And so you've also now brought youth out. There's a really great picture on your website of this amazing group of kids. That's really fun. So tell me a little bit about that.
Well, when we started, so Lucy was talking about how we started Cultiva. We started that in 2013. And so with Cultiva, we have this nonprofit where we teach local Mayan families how to grow their own food, how to lift themselves out of poverty. And I could talk about that for hours, but I'll answer your question. So we started that in 2013, and we started bringing down different volunteer groups. So we had families and different organizations. Sometimes it was a group that had a lot of youth. And we did that in 2013, 14, 15, 16. And in 2017, we decided to do something different. And we decided to take that humanitarian week, but just basically just put it on steroids. What we realized was so many people were having these cool experiences, but they weren't getting all of the context that they needed to kind of process it. And we make a lot of assumptions when we send our kids off on a trip, especially like a humanitarian trip, when we think, oh, just because they see something, now they're going to come home and they're not going to complain about doing their chores, and they're not going to whine about not having the newest iPhone, and it's just going to happen automatically. But what we found by doing this, because we started experimenting and adding different activities to our youth groups, what we found is what people, and especially youth, need is kind of help processing all these experiences that they're having. And so rather than just sending them to a country and having them work all day, that really wasn't the point, because we want people here to do the work for themselves. And we want people to learn how to be leaders, and we want kids to learn how humanitarian work should really be done effectively. And so we've spent a lot of time kind of putting something together that we felt was completely different and would make the biggest difference, not only in Guatemalan families' lives, but also in the lives of the kids that come. And so without going into all the details, unless you want me to, that's our goal, is to make sure that they become a part of what Cultiva is doing, because there's so many, we can do humanitarian work the wrong way and do more harm than good. And so we're very, very focused on making sure we do it the right way and that we do it effectively. And then we want North Americans that come down to understand how to do it the right way, and that they catch the vision and that they become lifelong humanitarians. And then we do a lot of activities and a lot of talking and a lot of sharing and a lot of mentoring and just a lot of explaining and teaching and workshops, so that they can take all these awesome experiences and understand them and kind of take them apart and figure out what it is they need to understand and what they want to change about themselves and what they want to do differently when they go home. And not just for the first day when they get home, but how they want to be different as people and how they want their life to be different.
I love that. I love that. So tell me, I mean, I think I have an idea, but tell me a little bit about what's wrong with humanitarian work today. But before you get on a soapbox, keep it to a couple minutes, because I'm sure.
Yeah. So I'll just, if you let me turn on the fire hose for a second.
Go ahead. Absolutely.
Experience. There was a study done by the World Food Bank, and they wanted to understand what poverty really was. And so they went to North Americans and they said, hey, North Americans, what is poverty? And we as North Americans, we're very material minded, not necessarily materialistic, but we think in terms of stuff. And so when we think of poverty, we immediately think of not enough food, not good enough shelter, not enough money, don't have a business, don't have health care. And all those things are true, but that's not really poverty. Those are symptoms of poverty. And what all those things have in common is that they're physical, material things. Then in the same study, they went and talked to over 6,000 people in over 60 countries who actually live in extreme poverty. And they asked them the exact same question, what is poverty? And guess what? They did not say any of those things. They said things like, poverty for me is fear, sadness, shame, embarrassment, hopelessness. What do those things have in common? They're all internal, mental, emotional, psychological, maybe even spiritual. And so why is this important? The reason this is important is, who are the people that go to these developing countries to start nonprofit organizations or NGOs? They're the North Americans in a lot of cases. So we go down to fix the poverty, but we have the wrong definition of poverty. We've got to go after this. This has to be our focus. We may be doing a material type project, but we've got to be focused on this, because if we can decrease hopelessness and sadness and shame, then people are empowered and want to do it on their own, and they can lift themselves out of poverty. And so what are we doing wrong with humanitarian work? When we show up and just hand things out and give them stuff, then that's the wrong way. Now, I'll explain that really quickly. There are acute problems and there's chronic problems. I know there's just a big hurricane, and Houston, right in South Texas, just got flooded, right? That's an acute problem. Houston was going along and all of a sudden they have a huge problem. That is when you do drive in with the trucks and you hand everything out, because if you don't, people are going to die or have serious problems. But when you go to Guatemala, and Guatemala is the 4th highest chronically malnourished country in the world, that doesn't mean we just roll in and set up a truck and hand food out. It's a chronic problem, so we have to teach them how to help themselves. And if we just when we go to Houston and hand it out, that was fine. But once everybody's okay, then we need to stop handing things out for free. But when you come to Guatemala, it has to be a sustainable, permanent, long-lasting something that we're doing that's teaching them to then do it on their own, so they're not always dependent on us.
And that is what these youth get to learn when they come and spend this time with you. And that's powerful. Like, I'm listening to you talk and I'm just thinking, yes, this is something that I want my kids to hear. I want them to learn this. I want them to understand this principle. That is really powerful. That really touches like me. I'm like, it changed the whole mood and energy just to understand that. And it's really, really important, the internal versus the external, and to see that. And you're right, as North Americans, that's what we think about. That's where my head was going when you were saying it, and that's, you were listing them off, and I'm like, yeah, that's what they are, right? But then the reality is there's so much more in the heart and soul that's so much more important, and empowering them. Here we are, most of us on this call right now are home educators, and we know the value of giving our kids what they need on the inside, the education, not only just the knowledge, but more importantly, the character, right? And to have them understand this concept that they can affect other people's lives from the inside out. I've got some pretty amazing kids. I really do. And I know I'm a mom, so what else am I going to say, right? But there are some things that it's like, I don't care if they learn their math. I don't care if they learn their science. If we don't have the heart and soul figured out for them. And I know it's up to them too. It's really, I can't manipulate all of that, but I can create or help facilitate environments. And this is an environment that facilitates that growth of character and of heart and soul that I want for my kids. So thank you. I mean, I don't know, I know you've told us the story, but the story again was a little bit external, right? Of the things that were affecting you and how it kind of led to this. But I imagine also that there's a lot of heart and a lot of soul that went to make this change, where now you're able to affect not only the local population and help them from the inside out, but also these youth that are hungry for this and they're ready for this. And as parents, we want this for them, because the power that gives them when they really understand the foundation of change and where it needs to start from, between that and helping them understand that they have something unique to give, who knows what they're capable of after that. Open up the world, feed their heart and soul, and let them go, right? And let them fly. And that's my goal as a parent, and I'm sure that that's very similar to everybody else on the webinar right now. I'm really grateful for what you're doing. Thank you so much. I don't want to end there, though. I mean, there's more, but it's a little sobering, I will admit. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about the details of the trip, and like what kind of things the kids will experience, and how you've seen it affect some of the ones that have been through it and gone back home.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm doing all the talking here, but this I kind of do a lot of the stuff on this as far as talking about it and teaching people about what we do. But yeah, oh man, and I'll be brief here. Like I said, it is a jam-packed week where we let people open up. Before people even come, we have kids ages 16 to 19, and then we have parent mentors and that come and be a part of this. But before they even come, we do a call with everybody, and we have some very strict rules. And one of those rules is no clicks, no teasing, no bullying. We are super focused on making sure that this entire week is a safe place, because we're bringing kids from different backgrounds, different states, different places, and we're bringing them all together, and we want everybody to go inside themselves a little bit and get out of their shell and be uncomfortable and do new things and try new things. And that's hard. That's hard for all of us, and especially for kids. So we have to make sure we have a super safe place for that to happen, and we take care of that. And luckily, we've never had any issues. People understand the rules. Also, no flirting and romantic displays of affection and all that, because this is a serious time. What we do is we bring really good kids down here, and we want them to dive into things that are tough for them, things they want to do, things they want to change, goals that they have, how they want to be. We talk about self-confidence. We talk about so many different things that have to do with leadership. And of course, that 2-minute thing I taught about what poverty is, that's just a brief thing that we do an hour workshop on that to really go deep with people and help them work on that. But kind of some of the details are, we have a morning routine each day. Well, quickly, they fly in on Saturday and they leave on Saturday. So we've got Sunday through Friday to get everything done that we want to do with them. And so Sunday is just a little bit of a catch-up day. People relax a little bit. We do some teaching and some kind of activities and get to know people. We do some very serious things about getting to know people really quick. We peel back. We don't just peel back layer by layer. We just open it all up right at the beginning and get it out there. And then Monday through Friday, we have a morning routine. Everyone's up early and we try some new things. We do a short meditation, and that's new for most of them, and that's weird. We do a short little exercise, and for some kids that's new and that's hard. We talk about what the day is going to be. Then we have our day, and I'll explain that in a second. And then at night after dinner, we all get together for inner circle, and that becomes their favorite part. At the end of the week, when we ask them what was your favorite thing, it's always inner circle. And inner circle is where we get together and we start with some guided journaling. I share some things, and I have them start writing about things that is on their mind, thing that happened during the day, and we just start helping them process what happened, and we give them context. And then that moves into a discussion where people share things and people talk, and everybody does. And even the ones you think at the beginning of the week are never going to share anything, by day 2 or 3 they're sharing, because they realize how powerful that is and how good it feels and what a safe group that we've formed. And they are tight, these kids, after a short amount of time. And we've got different kids. I mean, if somebody's thinking, oh, I don't know, my kid is really shy, or my kid is this, man, on this last leadership week we had the athletes, boys and girls, we had the scholarly kids, we had this club, that club. It ran the gamut, the types of kids that we have. But when you peel back layers and kind of take all that off, and you take away the jokes and you take away the trying to be cool, and you put them in Guatemala, they're all the same. They're all just kids trying to figure out who they are and what they want to be and how they want their life to be. And it's awesome. And that's when we have really good experiences. And so during the week, we do 2 humanitarian days, and that's where we work directly with Cultiva International. And we actually go up into the mountains and we work directly with Guatemalan families who have graduated from the Cultiva program. We've taught them how to grow their own food. And so we go up and install garden boxes, literally sit down with the people on the ground and nail them together and plant them and put a little fence around it and water it and spend time with that family and the kids that are there. And those are those are the richest experience, and we take photos with them. So we have 2 full days of working directly with that. Another day we go across, we get in a boat, we go across the lake, and we go to a town, we do a cultural tour, we meet some local artists, we meet a local leather worker, we see how they make a living. We go to a Mayan textile cooperative and we see how they make their own threads out of cotton and dye them with avocado pit and orange to get different colors. We also go to a chocolate place where they actually roast a cacao bean and make their own chocolate. So it's a very cultural thing that we do on that. And then, what am I missing? Oh, another day, it's just a fun day. We go jump off a platform into the lake, those that want to do that and play in the water a little bit. We also go zip lining over the canopy of the jungle. That we do that as well. Have I covered all that stuff? Oh, and then, so those are kind of the humanitarian things, and that's the adventure things. And then the other third of it is the workshops. We have probably 8 to 10 hours of workshops through the week, not besides the inner circle where we're actually teaching and practicing things. These are, and it's not just me getting up and talking. You're thinking, boy, this Greg likes to hear himself talk. It's workshops where people are interacting and sharing and challenging things. We talk about goals. We talk about routines. We talk about habits. We talk about self-confidence. We talk about public speaking. And again, we also talk about humanitarian work, and we talk a lot about leadership and how to lead and how to be part of a team. And so those are the workshops that we do. And so this is when I was saying earlier, we felt like we've done something super unique. We feel like we've taken, there are lots of youth humanitarian trips out there. We do that. There's leadership weeks out there. We do that. And then there's just fun adventure tourist weeks out there. We do that. So we've taken 3 kind of different types of week, and we've just jam-packed it into one. We're meet at 6:30 and we're not done till 9:30. And we just go all day, all week. And then they're all sad to go home. So that took too long, but that's what we're doing.
That's awesome. That is a jam-packed week. It's brilliant to include all of those into one thing. That's fabulous. So Lucy, what do you feel like is your role? I mean, you have children, so and especially you have a baby how old is she now?
She'll be a year next month.
A year. Okay. So that's your main job, right? But I noticed like she was in the group picture. Was that her that was in the group picture?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, so it looks like Lucy's like tagging along with everybody and just got the baby going and really digging in with it. But what do you feel like is the piece that you add to this and your main role? Is that a tricky question maybe, but
No, and actually I didn't realize this until after, because we often get like the kids will, leave us notes, like thank you notes at the end. Mm-hmm. And every time I always get so emotional about it because, moms, you get emotional about everything. They would leave me notes and they always say, thanks for being my mom away from home. Cause I participated, before the baby came along, which she was a surprise. So it just kind of, yeah. Yeah. Great surprise because after the 4 boys, having the girl is great. But until then I was, just as involved with everything as Greg is, with her now, I've got to be back home more, but I'm here at the home or at the Casa Cultiva is what we call it, where everybody stays. And so I'm here with them every morning throughout the meals, making sure everybody's happy. I'm, just the mom for everybody. I make sure that everybody's doing okay. And if I can, I go out on the work days and on the adventure days. But if I can't, I'm here and just, listen to everybody at night. I participate in the workshops, and I'm one of the mentors that goes along with, during part of the mentor days. I do some of the presentations as well, but I guess the biggest part would be the mom part, and just making sure that everyone's happy, and if they really need to talk to mom, I can help them out, but
right.
Just making sure, I think about my boys throughout the entire time and how they're feeling. So just making sure everybody's doing good while we're here. So
and that's really important what she's saying, because one of the rules I didn't mention is we go offline.
Yeah.
When I pick up the kids at the airport, I take a picture with the kids and I send it to mom and dad. And of course, mom and dad have my cell phone number, a US number that they can call in any second if they need to. Mm-hmm. But we shut the phones off. We use them as a camera if they've brought it, and that's it. And that's That's a big deal for most of these kids. And that's one of the other reasons that we have so much success, because we take away that distraction. And so, yeah, if a parent's worried about that, oh, I want my kid to, you know, get in touch with me every day. Well, they've got my number and they can reach me any time of day. And that's what we've done. So that's why it's so important, because they can't just start texting with mom or dad or something. So they've got to find it in themselves to figure it out or talk to one of us.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. And I think having the two of you in those roles is probably a very familiar feeling in all of the midst of this, you know, different changes and things that they're experiencing. To have a mom and a dad team that's working this, I think is a really great model to have. There's some times when most of the times when I've gone places, it was with other students, you know, and they do need a mom there. They do need somebody, like, sometimes they just needed a hug. You know, you never know, but there's an emotional need, and then there's the learning need. And so it's great to have you two as a team. I think that's fantastic. And it's not just the two of you, right? There's also, or is it just the two of you?
Well, we basically, we're in charge of the whole thing, but there's another family, the Kelly family, that are part of the board of Cultiva, and they live most of the time in Guatemala as well. And so we bring in one or both of them also during the week to help with workshops, just so we have more mentors. We don't really bring chaperones. We do invite parents to come along, but we ask them to be a mentor, and we explain what that means. But we don't need you to sit in the corner. We need all the adults to be participating and to be a part of it. And then we do some one-on-one mentoring sessions. So the Kellys are also involved. And then our kids are here. Like, we've got our two oldest participate in these, and that brings a cool dynamic, because they're these American kids, but they're international. And so that's a cool experience. So Josh, who's 17, and Sam, who's 14, although you'd think he's 17 also, they're both part of that as well. So they're hanging out with the kids, and then one of the Kelly's kids participate. And so it kind of brings a cool mix to the group.
Yeah, it sounds like a great bridge, really. These kids know that your kid, the visitors know that your kids they're living this life. And I imagine they get some pretty good conversations going, asking your kids about, geez, what is this really like? You know? That would be fast.
Kids blow me away. I mean, they have their time where it's just them talking, and they get into groups, and it always amazes me that the kids I thought wouldn't become friends, and they just mix, and they're talking about like such big things. And I always think to myself, man, when I was 17 or 16, not only was I not talking about what these kids are talking about, it didn't even occur to me. Like, these kids that come are so good, and they're having such cool experiences. It just blows my mind what they're thinking about, what they're doing. And it makes me excited to stay in touch with them and see what they're going to be doing in life, because it's pretty amazing. Like, this attracts a high caliber kid. And, you know, when you take somebody good and you make them even better, I mean, that's just an awesome combination. This is not we've had some people ask, oh, my kid's having all these problems, can we send them there and you'll fix them? This is not one of those things. This is somebody that's serious and that wants self-improvement and understands this and wants advice and wants ideas, and then it's just synergistic, and everyone's helping each other.
Awesome.
We often get kids that want to come back. This year we have 2 kids that were in our last group that they want to come back to volunteer to help us with the next group. So we often get kids that want to come back and keep doing it. And so that's awesome.
That's a testimony right there, right? Yeah. That things are going well. So Marianne is asking, how often do you have these groups come? Is it just once a year that you have Humanitarian Week? So right now versus plans for future.
Good question. So we have 2 types of weeks. We have the regular Cultiva International trip, which is for families, for anybody. We have, corporate groups, we have family groups, multiple families. We have one where lots of different people come together on the same group. We have those from late November through August. That's kind of our season. We shut September, October, and into November, we shut down. It's just too rainy and we kind of take a break. And so those, we already have people just get in touch with us, and we book those weeks kind of on when weeks are available that people want to do. They have to have at least 10 people in a group. Now that's that's one thing. Now, what we've been mostly talking about is the Youth Humanitarian Leadership Week, which is what I've been explaining. And that we did one in 2017, and this year we're launching 3. So we have one in April, which is especially appealing to those that are homeschoolers and maybe can have that in their schedule. And then we have one in June, and we have one in July. And a little later this year, we'll probably come September, we'll launch our 2019 dates. And if we need to add more, we'll do that. But I don't see I see 3 being a good number, and we have 20 spots. 20 spots in each one. A lot of them have already been taken, but we still have openings in all 3. But yeah, I hope that answered the question. Yeah, we've got 3 this year, and the dates are on the website, which we can tell you later, email or whatever. But the dates are on there with all the specifics and all the details and questions.
So, and that's at Greg. Is that at Cultiva or is that at gregjensen.com? I think, right?
No, the humanitarian leadership, the Youth Leadership Week that we've been talking is gregjensen.com, Jensen, and that has all the details, the dates. Can I drink the water? Is it safe? Can I send my kid to Guatemala? It has all that. And then if anyone wants to jump on a quick phone call with me because they just want to make sure that that's going to be okay, I do that for this. And then cultivainternational.org is where people can get information on just the regular humanitarian weeks, like if they wanted to come as a family, for example. And we've got a great team of people, and we have a girl named Maria, and she kind of handles the logistics and all the emails for both of these. So we email out all the information on that.
And I know that the emails that we sent out and also the Facebook event page both had the gregjensen.com link on there, so you can go to either one of those, and that's available. There was one other thing that I kind of wanted to talk about for a minute, because I think that this is kind of a cool piece of it. Like when we're talking about Leadership Week, leading up to going, there's a lot of opportunity to learn and grow right there. So tell me how the cost structure works and how much it costs, and then what most of the kids do to get there.
Yeah, I guess that's me still.
We'll let Lucy talk.
I handle all the food.
Yeah, if you want to know what
we're going to talk about food.
where you're going to stay, ask Lucy. Yeah, and what the. But yeah, so the cost for this is $19.95. But we do an early bird pricing, and you'll see the dates on our website, and we drop $500 off that. So it goes down to $14.95.
I don't know how you can do that, Greg.
Well, it's because we're here, and we're not, I don't have to fly myself here, and we don't have all this overhead that other organizations might have. But yeah, for $14.95 plus airfare, it's all inclusive. So from the second they get on the ground, we have all private transportation, all the food, water, snacks, hotel stays, entry fees, tip, everything. The only reason they'd spend any money is if they wanted to buy a souvenir. So it's $14.95 with the early bird pricing for all that, all inclusive basically. And the way kids pay for that, that's good. I know there's probably parents that help them do that and grandparents that do that. I know a lot of kids have gone parents to grandparents and say, hey, I don't care about birthday, Christmas, whatever, help me do this. We've had a lot of kids get jobs to do this. We've had a lot of kids do fundraisers and try to figure out how to do it. In fact, we're putting together a new document to send to people with sort of fundraising ideas because we've heard what's worked and what people have done, and so we want to put that together so people have, a way, some ideas and ways to do that. And we have a couple of unique ideas for people to do that as well. And so, yeah, that's a big learning thing for people, for parents that want their kids to actually earn it on their own, or at least earn part of it on their own. Yeah, it's a big deal and it's a big experience, but as all of us know, when you earn something, you value it more. And if something's given to you, we don't value it as much. And so I think it's great that kids pay at least a portion of what they do. Of course, that's up to the parents, but I think it's great when they are involved with that.
And we did a webinar last year with Benita, who happens to be on here with us right now, but called The Possibilities Are Endless. And we talked about that very thing, that, like you mentioned earlier, it used to be the thing that international travel was thought to be only for the rich because it was so expensive. And, we're finding now that there's so many ways to just get scrappy about it. And these kids figure things out, and I've got a son. This is a great one, by the way, anybody who's listening in, but he's 12 years old, and his business that he runs brings in about $60 a month. And that's consistent. And he works probably actually 4 hours a month, and he brings in $60. So for a 12-year-old, that's pretty good, right? I mean, they can come up with stuff, or parents can help them. And so for some, the parents are going to say, hey, I want this really bad for my kid, and he's doing other things, so I'm gonna put in the majority of this, or I'm gonna put in all of it. I mean, it is so worth it. Like, however they get there, just get them there. This is, you guys, those of you who have seen me talk about this stuff before, like, I'm just passionate about it. You have to provide these opportunities for your kids. You have to help facilitate and at least make them understand that it's possible, because sometimes that's not the culture in our homes, really. And I think that's part of what I want to help them overcome, is that really, if it's that important, and if you help it be important for them, inspire them that it is important, and inspire them that it is possible, that the possibilities are endless. There aren't any ceilings or gates enclosing them on what they're capable of doing. So it's fabulous. By the way my 12-year-old earns that money is he does all the garbage cans in the neighborhood. He went around and said, can I take out and put away your garbage can for you every week? And I'll charge you $1 a week. And so for $4, everybody gets their garbage can taken care of. If they go on vacation, great, it's all taken care of. It's just always taken care of. So it's fabulous. And now he's talking about how to scale it. Mom, I came up with an idea how to scale this. So I'm going to start hiring. Okay. So it's awesome. Like, when you just put them in that position where they're doing something different, it helps them think outside the box. And
this is like, I bet some people will know this. This is like Ralph Moody in Little Britches when he hires all the kids. Did anyone read that? Any nods?
Yes.
Yeah, when he hires all the kids to corral all the cows through town, and then he pays them all, makes $1 or whatever. Yeah. Perfect.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. So he did hire his first employee about 2 weeks ago. And he's paying them. It's great. It's great. They're amazing, these kids. They are capable of all kinds of stuff. Now, they're also capable of bottomless stomachs. So Lucy, I'm really grateful that you are totally taking care of that. And I guess you guys probably have some stuff with allergies and things like that you guys have to handle sometimes, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we always make sure to find out if there's any special dietary needs, and we try to accommodate the best that we can here. Guatemala is not known for its cuisine, so, but we do our best with what we've got here. And we go out to eat some of the days, but most of the breakfasts we make here, homemade, everything. We've got somebody that comes in and makes some typical Guatemalan food for them to try some of that. Awesome. But every place that we go to is safe, and we take care of everything here. And I have 4 boys, so I know how they eat. Yeah.
We got vegans, vegetarians, gluten-free. Yeah, we handle it all.
You got it all nowadays, huh? I know. Awesome. Okay, any last words before we let you go? I'm really grateful to have you guys here. So.
Well, I mean, for me, we do this to help others, but we're a little selfish too. I'm doing this for my children too. I want them to be the best that they can be. And we figured, everything that we do, we think about them and how we want to affect them and how their lives are going to end up. And so we know that this is good because we're doing this for them with them in mind. And so, hopefully that helps other people as well. So we thought, we might as well share what we have. But, we're always knowing that we're doing it for our children as well, helps us to do the best that we can do. So we don't, do a halfway job on any of it, because they participate as well. So we want them to get just as much out of it as anyone else. So.
And I'll just say, I just appreciate the time and everyone for tuning in, and thanks to you, Brenda, for having us on and let us talk and let me get on my soapbox a little bit. I just love to teach these things and reach these kids and teach them. And sometimes, sometimes someone else can say the same thing we as parents are saying to our kids, and they listen to them, and it makes a difference. And so we're just glad to be able to do that. And we're not here getting rich or anything. We just feel like we're in a unique position. We've had some unique experiences. We have a unique story, and we just feel responsibility to help Guatemalans, and we feel responsibility to help North Americans that they can have a piece of that experience and come down. And we just feel like we're in a good position to show them and to teach them, so that it's not just a cool trip that they had, but something that really makes them better people and helps them have better lives. And so we're just happy to be a part of that.
Awesome. And Greg, so remind me again, the ages are 16 to 19?
Correct. We have ages 16 to 19 when the trip takes place. We have had, and one of the reasons we do that is just we want to have a mature kid. Now, granted, there could be a 13-year-old that's more mature than an 18-year-old, and I get that. But that's one of the reasons we've done that. The other reason that we have 16 is because with some airlines, you need to be 16 to be able to travel alone. It depends on the airline. But we do accept kids that are younger if the parent comes with them as one of our parent mentors. And so the parent pays the same and has the same experience, and they can come. So we have had 15. I think once we had a 14-year-old come as well, a very mature 14-year-old, because the parent came. So we do have that kind of exception to the rule. But if someone wants to reach out to me and talk to me, and they're just going to miss the date by a month, and they're almost 16, and they want to, we can talk about that. If there's, I mean, I understand my 14-year-old, you think he's 17, he's hanging out with all the big kids. So I understand if there's a 15-year-old or something that wants to come, and we can work it out, and it's not a problem with the airline, that's totally doable. And really, it's not usually a problem with the airline. I just don't want ever there to be an issue. You just have to call ahead and make sure. So I don't want to scare anybody, but yeah.
Well, and all the airlines, they have slightly different fees and regulations and stuff like that for what they'll do. I've had kids fly nationally on their own, not internationally on their own yet.
Internationally is just a little different. But yeah, we have had 15-year-olds fly on their own.
Awesome. And other than that, there's also the family trips available. So if you've got younger kids that you want to have them experience this to some degree, it's not going to be the same leadership workshops and things like that, but it's still going to be a great experience as a family. So that's also available through Cultiva International.
Well, for the family trip, we do 3 work days, then we do the same cultural tour, and we do the zip lines on the 5th day. But we're not up in the morning, and we're not doing so much at night. It's a much slower pace. And we do a little bit of the humanitarian leadership part of it. We do one workshop, but we don't do all the others. But it's also a reduced price. It's less expensive for that because there's not so much commitment on our part and so much involvement.
Okay. So I'm going to keep in touch with you guys because I've got some other ideas and things I want to keep talking to you about. But meanwhile, anybody who's interested, go to gregjensen.com, right, for the humanitarian trip, leadership. What are we calling this? Leadership Week?
Leadership Week. We keep trying to come up with some cool name, but everybody just calls it Leadership Week. So.
Okay. And if you've got any ideas for a cool name, then let Greg and Lucy know. But I got a few of those myself. I got some things I need some names for. But yeah, so please go and look at the website and, talk to your youth. There's just no replacing this kind of an experience for them. And that's really true. And getting to know you guys a little bit better, Greg and Lucy, I like to handpick the mentors for my kids, as much as I really do. And maybe I'm a control freak. Okay, I am. But these are the kind of people that I want my kids to learn from. Your heart shows, and your dedication and commitment and your sense of passion and caring and mission to all of this, it shows. It's right out there on your sleeve. And I want my kids to experience that kind of an environment and be led and taught by that kind of people. So thank you very much again for doing what you're doing. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Okay. Take care. And if anybody wants to see the replay, this will be up probably by tomorrow, and you'll get the link for it will be sent to everybody who registered. So have fun and go find some adventure for you and for your kids. Okay. Take care. Thanks, everyone.